Tennessee, there was that horrific school bus accident. 5 young children were killed. The driver charged with vehicular homicide. What's the latest, Martin Savage?
Hello, Carol. There are 12 students still hospitalized, 6 in intensive care. We want to show you some video that's just come in from the scene of where this horrific accident occurred. Authorities have begun moving the school bus that was involved, lifting it from the scene. It had remained on site throughout the rest of the day yesterday and all through the nighttime hours. As you can imagine, this is a very deep and serious investigation that is underway, so it is only in the daylight that we have begun to see that they are moving the bus. Meanwhile, the focus right now is on how fast that bus was going. Flipping on its side, careening into a tree so fast its frame crumbling on impact. This is the image of a horrific school bus crash in Chattanooga, Tennessee, killing at least 5 students and injuring 23.
He wasn't paying attention. He was going real fast.
The bus driver, 24-year-old Jonathan Walker, arrested late Monday and charged with 5 counts of vehicular homicide, reckless endangerment, and reckless driving.
Certainly speed is being investigated very, very strongly as a factor in this crash.
A witness living near the crash said she heard a big boom just before 3:30 p.m. and that the impact was so strong it knocked her power out.
This has been a great tragedy for us. We have suffered a great loss.
As emergency officials raced at the scene, so did frantic parents. The fire department working for hours to remove the 37 elementary school students on board, trapped inside. Meanwhile, hundreds of residents from the community lining up to donate blood at a local blood bank to help the injured. Their parents hoping
Received care at the hospitals or may have been transported to other locations are reunited successfully with their families.
And Carol, the mother of Jonathan Walker, he is the school bus driver, issued a statement speaking to CNN. She said in part, quote, "A word of comfort to whom it may concern. I, being the mother of Jonathan Walker, would love to say, in my heart, love is going out for all of those that were in harm's way of God's will. Sending out mine and our condolences to every family that God touched yesterday in this horrible accident. And I'm asking for compassion for my son, Jonathan Walker." Again, he's been charged with 5 counts of vehicular homicide. Carol?
All right, Martin Savage reporting live from Chattanooga, Tennessee this morning. All right, on to politics now. Horrific, hateful, and disgusting. 3 words that come to mind when you listen to the racism and anti-Semitism that was on full display in our nation's capital inside the Ronald Reagan building over the weekend. A video now surfacing from a white nationalist conference celebrating the victory of Donald Trump. 200 white supremacists hailing Trump with Nazi salutes.
We were not meant to beg for moral validation from some of the most despicable creatures to ever populate the planet. Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
So this happened on Saturday, and after this meeting ended, it just got worse. Protesters were outside. 2 white nationalists from that conference waded into the crowd, and they began asking protesters if they were, quote, ashamed to be white.
Are you self-hating white person?
No, I love to play the banjo.
Okay, so do you hate your white identity?
All right, as you can see, things turned violent after that. 2 people were sent to the hospital. The Trump camp did respond 2 days later with this statement. It reads in part, quote, "President-elect Trump has continued to denounce racism of any kind, and he was elected because he will be a leader for every American. To think otherwise is a complete misrepresentation of the movement that united Americans from all backgrounds," end quote. So let's talk about this. With me now is John Phillips. He's a CNN political commentator, talk radio host, and he supported Donald Trump through the campaign. And Theron Johnson, the former South Regional Director for Obama 2012. He supported Hillary Clinton through the campaign. Welcome to both of you. So, John, I want to start with you. Why did it take 2 days for the Trump camp to release that statement?
I've never heard of this guy, Robert Spencer, until this week. Fortunately, we live in a country where there are so few members of the Klan that are left, they can't even keep linens and things in business. These guys are a freak show that could barely get 200 people to show up. They're a fringe element. Donald Trump has denounced racists involved in American politics going as far back to the year 2000 when he separated himself from the Reform Party because of David Duke's involvement and other people's involvement in it. And I think it's unfair to judge when other networks kept playing video of the new Black Panther Party and saying, why won't Obama denounce them? Why won't Obama go after them? There's like 4 of them, and they spent more time on TV than you and me, Carol. I think they're going to get bigger after pensions than both of us combined.
Theron, do you agree?
Well, I totally disagree with everything Mr. Phillips just said. Listen, Carol, this is very disturbing. It's disturbing to me not only as an African-American, but point blank as an American. You know, President Obama and others have asked us to give Donald Trump a chance. But when you have this alt-right movement, which is nothing more than a neo-Nazi movement, at a conference basically, you know, giving Nazi salutes, and the president-elect, who, by the way, after the election said that he wanted to be a president for everyone, and yes, he sent out this very weak and baseless statement saying that he denounces racism. The bottom line is, Mr. Phillips, we don't want him to denounce racism. That's something that he should do, but we want him to denounce the alt-right movement. And for you to come on this show and try to give it some comparison to the Black Panther Party, and more importantly, try to legitimize it and normalize it, it's just quite insulting. I mean, this is not a political conservative group like the Tea Party. This is nothing but a full, comprehensive, full-fledged hate group. These are people who sat there and listened to Mr. Spencer's remarks, and then you have these protests outside, and these people are basically fighting one another.
Well,
and so I think
here's the other thing, John. I think some critics might say that Donald Trump came down harder on the cast of Hamilton than he came down on this group.
These people are horrible people, and I frankly am glad that he's not giving them a larger platform. Instead of giving them a larger platform, what was Donald Trump doing over the weekend? He was meeting with Elaine Chao. He was meeting with Tulsi Gabbard. He was meeting with Michelle Rhee. He was meeting with other people, Rick Grinnell, an openly gay man who could become the ambassador to the United Nations. He was busy meeting with these people that are going to make up the next government. I'd much rather have him spend his time doing that than giving these freaks a platform.
Yeah, but let's be fair. He also spent the last 14 plus days and this weekend attacking the New York Times. He sent out a total of 9 tweets basically celebrating that he didn't want to meet with these folks. If he would basically stop for one moment and realize the reality that he is now the president-elect, we must call on him to act presidential. But to come out with this very weak statement, and then more importantly, let's not forget, the person who worked for this alt-right, neo-Nazi hate group was Steve Bannon, who is going to be his closest advisor. So it's fair to say that one of the reasons why he will not come out and denounce them and basically ask them to recant their statements is because the person who actually led this movement, this racist bigotry movement, is the person who's going to be the closest to him in the White House. I mean, there's no way that you can come on this show and spin it. This is just very, very disgusting.
Last word, John.
Look, these people it's 200 people. They have zero influence over the White House. They have zero influence over Donald Trump. They should be
Bannon
ignored.
is going to be there. Well, how do you say
he's
he
the
can't
chief
have
strategist?
He's the chief strategist.
He's not part of this group. The thing is, and I just want to make this clear so the audience can understand. The man is the head of that racist group that spoke in Washington says he coined the term alt-right, and he celebrates Breitbart and Steve Bannon as giving voice to his movement. So I think that's why some people are upset with this appointment of Steve Bannon to be chief strategist for Donald Trump.
Unfortunately, you can't pick your fans.
God, that's ludicrous.
But you can pick your chief strategist, though.
Look, he's denounced these people going back to the year 2000. I think is what his critics wanted to do is they want Donald Trump's name in the same headline as these people, and he's just not taking the bait.
No, what I want him to be presidential. I want him to come out and back up the rhetoric that he said the morning after he won the election, that I want to represent all people. I mean, this guy, Mr. Spencer, used terms like Latino housekeepers. He criticized African Americans and said that we had this black political machine. All we're asking Donald Trump to do is do what he said he was going to do. But when he sits back and take 2 full days to come out and really denounce people who supported him and don't even really acknowledge that this is very racist and this is something that he's not going to tolerate on a Trump administration, that's the problem we have, and that's why we have no faith that he's going to be a president for all Americans.
If he's courting those elements, then why is he meeting with Elaine Chao? Why is he meeting with Michelle Rhee? Why is he meeting with Tulsi Gabbard?
That's a very, very symbolic gesture that he did throughout his campaign. The same guy who went into a black
white supremacist would not do that.
No.
Okay, I got to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much. But it is an important conversation. John Phillips, Theron Johnson, thanks. Still to cover the newsroom, a key American ally sends a stern message to government employees. Do not talk to Donald Trump. But first, we're just minutes away from the opening bell, and Wall Street looks poised to keep the rally going. Christine Romans is here with more. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Carolyn. It is a Trump rally. Investors think that Donald Trump will cut regulations, that he will cut taxes, that he will be able to push through big spending on infrastructure, and you've got stocks across the board smashing records. Here's where we stand from yesterday. The Dow, the Nasdaq, the S&P 500, and the Russell 2000, that's small cap stocks, all hitting record highs on the same day. Carol, that's the first time that's happened since 1999. And those smaller stocks and mid-cap stocks, very telling. Those investors think Donald Trump is going to roll back regulations, and he has promised for every new regulation in government to cut 2. Take a look at global markets here. The markets open in a little more than 3 minutes in the United States. This kind of a rally, a 57-point rally, if Dow futures hold, would put the Dow above 19,000, Carol, for the first time in history. The S&P 500 futures also higher. London, Paris, and Tokyo across the board. Global markets higher, Carol. Again, cutting taxes, cutting regulation, infrastructure spending, money coming into the stock market, out of bonds, your mortgage rates are rising, and that is the Trump effect in global markets.
Straight to the source.
Would Israel be willing to go along with those demands?
To a side you haven't seen.